Hey guys, we're going to be talking about making scatter plots, making these lines of best fits. So yes, we're going to be using that y equals mx plus b because that's what we use to represent a line. All right, go ahead and title this Scatter Plots and Lines of Best Fit. Your central question is, how can you use data to predict an event? This is our big picture, is we want you to be able to predict an event, not just be able to read and make the lines. Okay. Scatterplot is a graph that shows the relationship between two data sets, and there's three scenarios for scatterplots. There's one where it has a positive relationship because it's going up, one that has a negative relationship because it's going down, and three, no relationship because all of these data points are all scattered all over the place and they're not consistent in any way. All right, let's go ahead and take a step back. I need you guys to be able to interpret scatter plots before we go into any of those big picture predicting the future. Okay, a scatter plot on the scatter plot on the left shows the amount of fat in grams and the number of calories in 12 restaurant sandwiches. How many calories are in the sandwich that contains 17 grams of fat? So how am I going to use my scatter plot to predict that is first I'm going to go to the x-axis because the x-axis is what has fat and I'm looking for 17 grams of fat. Then I'm going to go in between 15 and 20 is 17, right about here. And I'm going to find the number that's closest to that so I can predict. And approximately 400 calories are in 17 grams of fat according to our scatter plot. I found that point right here that's about 17. It might be a little bit more than 400, but 400 calories. All right. Now let's look at it when we're going from the y-axis. How many grams of fat are in a sandwich that has 600 calories? Since we're looking at calories, I'm going to this time go to the y-axis and find where 600 is. Here's 600, and see if I can't find a data point on that y-axis that has 600. And I do, this point right here, which is 30 grams of fat. Approximately 30 grams of fat. Okay, what tends to happen to the number of calories as the number of grams of fat increases? This has that positive relationship. Most of the data points go up consistently. None of them are ever going down that we can see on our points, so this has a positive relationship. What tends to happen? They increase. All right, let's go look at example 2. All right, so we've talked about interpreting. Now let's go ahead and talk about how you're going to label the data points. So label, you're going to tell them if they are positive, negative, or they have no relationship. This one has a positive relationship. This one has no relationship because the data points are all over the place. All right, now let's get to the big picture. Now we have those little details that we needed to know. Let's get to the big picture. This table shows the number of people who have attended a neighborhood's festival over an 8-year period. The first thing that I need you to be able to do big picture wise is make a scatter plot. So for this first one, I've already done it for you. When you're making your scatter plot, it's super important that you label, and tell me what units you're going by for both x and y, okay? That's important. You should not be playing dot to dot. You're making a straight line, and the dots are not going to be making straight lines. They're going to be making curvy lines and being all over the place. Okay, now we're going to write an equation for the line of best fit. I've already sketched in the line of best fit. That's this one right here. Now we're going to use y equals mx plus b. And why are we using y equals mx plus b? Because this is a straight line, and this is the equation that represents a straight line. Remember, m is slope, b is y-intercept. Okay, so your slope, the rise over the run is something I like to do second. I'm going to find the intercept. This one crosses at 0, 0, so it's going to say plus 0 for B. All right, now I'm going to go from I'm going to make my right triangle from one data point to another. I'm choosing this data point to make my right triangle to figure out how much it rises and how much it runs, because I'm using this point because it goes through the 3 and 800 evenly in my line. So let's see, how much does it go up? It goes up 1, 2, but it goes 1, 2, 400s. So 400, 800, 800, and it runs 1, 2, 3. Runs 3x. All right, can I divide 800 by 3? Yes, I can, but when I did it, I got a repeating decimal, so I'm going to leave it as 800 divided by 3x plus 0, which can be simplified to just y equals 800 divided by 3x. All right, now what does 800 over divided by 3 represent? Because that's the slope. So m is 800 over 3. Remember, that means rise, and that means run. That means 800 people per 3 years. That's what it means. The number of people who attend the festival rises 800 people every 3 years. 800 people, 800 more people attend the festival every 3 years. It's just super important that you remember that 800 is people, because that was the y change, and 3 is years, because that was the x change. Now we're going to take our equation, big picture, and predict what's going to happen in 10 years. So what am I going to do? I'm going to plug 10 in for x in my equation. So 800 divided by 3 times 10. How do you multiply fractions? Straight across. So what is 800 times 10? 8,000. What's 8,000 divided by 3? Hopefully it's going to be a nice number. We'll have to approximate it. And it's approximately 2,666.6. Okay, you can't have a sixth of the person, so let's go ahead and round it up to, in 10 years, we're going to estimate that there's going to be 2,667 people at this festival. All right, go ahead and try this problem on your own and answer that essential question. When you're ready to check your answers, go ahead and press play. All right, your scatter plot should have looked something like this, and your line of best fit, remember, your data values don't need to be all above or all below. That's not the best line of fit. You want them to be evenly distributed, just like you've done in science multiple times this year. And this one is pretty because it starts off at 0, 0. Our equation is going to be the y equals mx plus b. Okay, and for this one, your intercept is at 0, so b is 0, and your rise, I would go from 0, 0 to, let's find a nice point to go to. We can choose 1. It goes up 60 and over 1. Yeah, 60x, good. Your slope, what does that mean? That means it rises 60 miles every 1 hour. Sorry, I actually wrote right there. So that means that the person travels 60 miles an hour. Now let's go ahead and predict what's 7 hours by plugging it into that equation. You should get about 420 miles is how many miles they'll go in 7 hours. All right, guys, your checkpoint's ready, and I hope you have a good night.